Everybody, my name is Zeb Welborn, president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, this is episode 2 of our Chino Valley Business Beat. So this is an idea we had to shoot YouTube videos where we're going to bring in a series of experts and panelists that are going to talk about specific subjects that are designed to help promote and grow your business here in the Chino Valley. So we have some exciting folks that are going to be on this conversation with us today. And we're going to be talking about our primary theme for today is artificial intelligence. So I want to speak a little bit about how we've used artificial intelligence at the chamber and some things that we've implemented and developed. And then we're going to bring in some other folks that are local businesses as well and how they've used AI. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something about that. And then we'll move into a leadership section. We'll talk with one of our board members. We'll talk with an ambassador. We'll talk with one of our staff members, somebody who's involved in our Chino Valley Leadership Collaborative. Somebody who has kudos to give to the group. We're going to cover a section on retail theft, and then we're going to talk about our upcoming mixer at Chino Commercial Bank. So those are all things that are on the agenda for today. So first, let's cover the AI section. I'll just talk a little bit about how we've used it and why I think it's important for businesses to use it. One of the things when I got involved in the chamber was with my social media marketing business. At the time, social media was new, and we wanted to make sure that businesses were aware of those tools because we knew that it was going to change business for the future. It was interesting when I was talking to business owners at the time, a lot of them were very skeptical about it, not sure that they'd use it. And now it's pretty much a mandatory thing that all businesses use. Artificial intelligence, in my opinion, is the exact same way. It's something that every business is going to have to be involved in and leveraged in and make sure that they know how to use it successfully. So I want to share a little bit of pieces of information about how we've used AI over the last few months. There's a lot of different ways we use it, but I don't want to bombard you with all of those. So I'm just going to highlight 4 things. One of the tools that we've used recently is called Otter AI. So I attend a lot of meetings. I attend a lot of Zoom meetings, and Otter AI comes in and it basically records your meeting, and then it will give you action items that come out of that meeting, and it will email it to you at the end. So then instead of taking notes during the meeting, you can just be fully present, paying attention to the meeting. That Otter AI will record it, and then it will bring back the information, send it to you in email. So then you can use that to send out to your group or even just to remind yourself of what the things that you covered were. It also identifies action items and it pinpoints places in the meeting that you should pay attention to. So it timestamps it. So if you wanted to go back and refresh any part of the meeting, it does that as well. So that's one of the new tools that we started using recently. One of the things so ChatGPT is a thing that I think everybody uses or everybody is aware of at least. We use it daily at the chamber. And I'll show you 3 different examples of things that we've used it recently for. These are the most 3 recent things that we've used. So at home, one of my New Year's resolutions is to be healthier. I have a Peloton bike at home. So I get on a bike every morning. And what I did recently was I started taking pictures of so it'll count my time, the calories burned, the miles traveled. I'll take a picture of that thing. I'll put it into ChatGPT and I'll ask it to create a spreadsheet that tracks my progress as I go. And then I'm able to put it in a Google spreadsheet so I can track how well I'm doing over time with my Peloton riding the bike. So that's something that I've done recently, and it does it. It just takes the information from that picture, puts it in an Excel spreadsheet, so you can use that for the future. The next thing that I've used it for was I am on the Chaffee College Foundation board, and I'm part of their golf planning committee. So in that thing, during the meeting, they said, hey, we're looking for promotional products, like unique promotional items that we could give out to golfers that are playing in our golf tournament. And so I didn't have any ideas that came to my head. So I went to ChatGPT, typed in what are some unique things that we could give out to golfers as part of the golf tournament for Chaffee College. They came up with some really cool ideas, some golf tech gadgets that you could use. One of them was putting like a QR code on a golf ball that would take you to the Chaffee College website to explain more about the program. So those are some of the things that came out of that. And then the last thing is I'm organizing a discussion at the WACE, which is the Western Association of Chamber Executives Conference that is coming up. And I'm using artificial intelligence to help plan it. The session we are covering is on artificial intelligence. So I use it to create a worksheet of different prompts that you can use to help maximize the use of ChatGPT. I used it to invite the panel to come and speak. I used it to create the bios. I used it to create the PowerPoint. And so I've leveraged all of these things to make it, and it does it like kind of instantaneously. One of the big pieces of advice that I would share is don't use it and copy and paste and put it into your send it out to the universe or send it out to people that you're engaging with. I would highly recommend editing it because it is very clear when you use AI that it is AI. It uses this kind of the same language and same familiar phrases. So that's one piece of advice: is use it as a tool to help make things easier for you. It help expedite a ton of things. It saves tons of time in terms of planning and putting things together. So those are just a few ways that we've used it at the chamber. And now we want to highlight some of our businesses and some of the ways that they've used it. So I'd like to invite Cris Pacheco to join us. Hi, Cris. How are you doing today?
Good, Zeb. How you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, no, thank you for joining us. Sandy, one of our membership director of the chamber, said that she attended a presentation that you were giving, and you were talking about how you're using AI in your business. And thank you for being a member of the chamber. We'd love to hear how you're leveraging AI in your business to help grow. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, and I was actually very surprised that I got asked to be on this because I wouldn't consider myself this AI like nerd or anything like that. I just kind of like always have used tools in general, whether it was social media or even, just different technologies just to see how I can improve my business. So so I was honored to be on this, but then when I saw the questions for today, I was like, wow, I actually use it for a lot. So I'm a mortgage banker. So I'm constantly dealing with people. I'm constantly putting out marketing material out, constantly overcoming challenges. So I put up like kind of a bullet list. So number one, so I have a weekly newsletter that I send out to my whole database, and I customize it fully myself. And you were talking about like not copy and pasting, and that's huge because of the human effect that, and people can read right through that. So for me, it's like authenticity. So I kind of I use it lightly, but I use it to kind of, I have a personal finance and health newsletter that I put out every week. And I come up and I use it to generate ideas for me. So that's one piece. Number two, I'm always trying to find trends in the industry, in the mortgage industry, and I'm constantly getting updated. And it's like a good place to go for like, hey, like what are the best sources for mortgage, to find trends or what have you. So that's another piece. So it's kind of done for my studying. Problem solving. In the mortgage industry, they say that we are the most complicated transaction in the American economy because of how many touches you have with so many different people. So I'm constantly facing obstacles and challenges. So instead of, I kind of use it for like more of a mindfulness tactic, I guess, or a mindfulness process where I kind of analyze a situation, and it's kind of just like a second voice. It kind of gives me a pause instead of reacting to a situation or getting triggered by a situation. And anytime I get like some type of trigger or stress, it's always good to kind of just hear a second voice. So I kind of have used it like where I'll talk to ChatGPT. I'll be like, hey, this is the situation. What is the best way? What are the best practices to handle the situation as a mortgage lender? And it gives me some really great information. Not that I'll use all of it, but sometimes I'll, take bits and pieces. Sometimes it gets obviously very great information. Um, I've gotten ideas for marketing and operations from ChatGPT. Um, I use this also for my social media captions, especially if I'm like doing a video, and I want to, the video is obviously not AI. It's myself like filming. But if I want to add like some points that are important to that, I'll usually tell, chat, hey, I made a video about blah, 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 blah. Can you put these bullet points down just to kind of complement my video? Also, I built out my sales scripts as well for the different clientele that I attack. And and like you were saying, not copy and pasting. I'm not reading off the paper, but it's at least a bullet point list of like good sales scripts. My other ones too, I got two more here. I use this also for when I do film videos. I'll tell chat, hey chat, can you give me a script regarding, and I do a lot of VA loans. I'm a veteran, so I do. Can you give me a good caption for my teleprompter, a good script for a video? But like leave, 15. I want to do a 1 minute video, but leave 15 seconds for like my own personal input. And I have caught myself like seeing it, and you can tell if you're reading it, obviously, like right off the teleprompter. But what I've used it as kind of like as a guiding as a guide while it's scrolling down of what to say. And I'm usually just like, adding my own flavor to it. So and then also the captions app also has another piece where you can upload. I like to put a lot of like motivational stuff or finance stuff, anything that can help or bring something of value regarding sales or motivation, psychology. So there's an actual feature on the captions app where you can upload a YouTube video and it'll get like the main points from that video and make it into like with the subtitles and everything. So it's just more stuff to complement my business and my branding. So
Okay, excellent. And so that Captions app, that is another AI tool, correct? And that's what it's called. It's called the Captions app.
the captions app, yeah.
Perfect. And then let's talk about how AI has benefited your business. So let's just talk about it. You've been using it. How has it benefited your business?
So I mean, I would say that like it's definitely been scaling my brand because I'm being able to put out more newsletters. I've been able to put out more social media content. Um, and like I said, just like the responsiveness that I get from the problem solving and the client experience in general is a lot better than the typical reactive, triggered loan officer out there. So, I mean, everything from customer experience to marketing and branding, it's been incredible for my business.
Awesome. And one of the things that you brought up when we were talking is like the importance of prompting that ChatGPT. I think a lot of people use it for the first time and maybe they type something in and it comes out with something pretty generic. But like you mentioned, like I'm a mortgage lender. How would you respond as if you were a mortgage lender? There's all sorts of ways to prompt it to get the outcome that you want. So even if you're using it and it's not giving you the output that you want, there's ways to like reiterate it so that you can create it and get the things, the outcomes that you want, right?
Correct. And like I try to talk to it like a normal person. I think when Sandy was there, like we were coming up with like a strategy. I was teaching actually a LinkedIn class, a LinkedIn prospecting class to realtors. And I was using it for ideas like as to build like, a little message script, and I was like talking to it like a normal person, be like, hey, chat. And I even like act like it has feelings like a person, like, hope you're doing well this morning. I'm here in front of a bunch of realtors. I'm really nervous and I really want to deliver value to them. And I'm teaching a LinkedIn class. Can you come up with a strategy as an example for this Long Beach State alumni who is the realtor in Chino Valley, and she's really trying to develop a script on how to contact other referral partners or other buyers or prospective sellers in her local area. Can you come up with scripts? And it's just crazy how it's just pop, 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 pop. Like how many different strategies, but you give it more details, it's incredible what it'll put out. And I'm very big on also spiritual psychology and personal growth and inner work. It's insane, like how that's actually how I kind of got exposed to this because one of my mentors was like asking the chat some really like theological questions, about what's the difference. I remember him saying, "What's the difference between Gnostic Christianity, between Protestant super church Christianity, crazy stuff." And it was just like spitting out and just talking back and forth. It's incredible, an incredible tool. So, on both sides, personal life and business, it's been a huge enhancer.
Excellent. And then the last question for you is, what's your biggest advice if you're using AI as somebody who hasn't used it yet?
Um, I put here, start with your personal life, like even just day-to-day stuff, like, hey, chat, I just feel really stressed out. My schedule's crazy right now. Like, how would you best suggest me to get kids from soccer practice to, and cooking dinner. Like, what are some best practices that you can find for me? Just start, your personal life and just start talking back and forth with it. I think that's the easiest. And then your mind will start, at least it happened for me. My mind started spinning like, oh wow, you know what? Let me ask these questions. Let me ask that question. So and then the final bullet point was just talk to it, like I said, like a person. And it'll read your tonalities. It'll do it'll figure out the patterns that you're constantly doing. So that's how I would say, just like start with something very simple and just gradually build and build and build. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was looking at my ChatGPT threads, and I have started over 150 threads in 1 month. So it's like just the constant just research, and it just makes you very curious about a lot of different things. So yeah, just start simple, personalized.
Okay, well, hey, Cris, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that insight with us. We really do appreciate it. I want to go over one of the things that we want to do with this Chino Valley Business Beat show or podcast, whatever you want to call it, is we want to create engaging opportunities. And so after each person that we have on, we kind of want to create a question that's posed in the caption. So whether you're here live on our call, whether you're watching this on YouTube, or whether you're watching this on Facebook, go to the comments section and respond to the questions that we ask of each individual that's after this. So the question for this one is how have you used AI? We'd love to get, and the reason for this is we want to build collaboration amongst our business community to help support one another. So by sharing how you've used AI, whether there's different tools that we didn't address already, whether you've used ChatGPT and you've prompted in certain ways, we would love to hear that. So make sure you leave that comment in the chat section. The other thing I'll bring up is there is a Q&A session for this webinar, but we're not going to address questions live. So feel free to use the chat if you want to connect with any of the panelists or people that are speaking. Same thing, I'm sure all of these folks will be available if they're not here afterwards and you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook. I'm sure they will make themselves available as well. So you feel free to reach out on that front. So with that, I want to bring up Scott Goodwin. Scott is the owner of ComTrac Training, or the president of ComTrac Training. And Scott is a good friend of mine. We go way back. We used to bowl together in a bowling league at Chaparral Lanes. So that was many years ago, but we've stayed connected, and we've also worked together for a while. So we had Scott speak at our AI symposium that we did several months ago, where we brought in a bunch of speakers talking about artificial intelligence. And one of the ones that everybody loved, that we got a lot of great feedback on, was Scott's presentation because of the way that he's leveraged the use of AI. So Scott, talk a little bit about your business first, and then talk about how you got into using artificial intelligence.
Okay, well, first of all, my business trains firefighters. So we've been in the business of training firefighters. Well, I've been in the business since 1980. Yeah, it's been a long time. And I've got over 4,000 company and chief officers trained to their state certification. So I retired, and then I didn't want to be the guy that was talking about stuff that happened 20 years ago when I was training. So there's two things that do not change in the fire service. One is leadership, and the other is fire command. There are things that evolve over time in fire command, but most of it is pretty static. Fire is going to burn the same way every single time, and so we need to have ways to get around to combat that fire. So I've been working on this program for. I looked at the calendar the other day, for 15 years. And have been building this fire simulation program. So initially, it was just when I first started training in fire simulation, it was we put a overhead projector up, put a picture on the wall, and then put an overhead projector up, put sand on a table, and flashed it through an overhead projector with a wheel that spun that made it look like fake smoke and fire. Well, life has evolved. And there is now there is the AI, well, not AI, but there's programs out there. The program that I use is the program that they use to make the movie Avatar. And so it looks like real fire and smoke. So there is some things that we learn from that fire and smoke on how to combat that fire as we first pull up. And so it has to do with the color of the smoke and the actions of the smoke and the movement of the smoke, along with where it's coming from and those kind of things. So there's things that they can learn. Well, it's kind of hard to generate that if you got fake looking smoke. So with the advancements that are occurring, that occurred. So now I basically am selling that program out to firefighters across the country, that they practice it. Now, we did it with, we first started with just a role play. So the guy that was in charge would come in, and then he would bring in a bunch of his friends with him, and they would role play the different positions. So as he's telling people what to do, the other members of his friends would talk to him and tell him, okay, understand what you want me to do, and this is what's happening with that. Well, now we've evolved to a place where you can actually hold a conversation with your computer. And so you talk to the computer, and it's different than talking to Siri, because Siri or Alexa or all those are pretty much programmed responses. They look for keywords and they program it back. What we've done is we capture your speech. So if I give somebody, for example, one of the common phrases that I use is, you are assigned to fire attack. Your tactical objectives are fire attack, primary search, and checking for extension. What that means is you're going to be the guy inside or your crew is going to be inside the building, and they're going to put water on the fire. They're going to search the building and see if there's anybody in there, and they're going to check and see if that fire is moving anywhere. So it takes my verbiage and massages it and gives it back, because the dispatcher and the person who's receiving it have to confirm that they've received the exact message that I've given them. So AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning is now taking that and role-playing every one of those positions. And there could be up to 15 people that are getting instructions on the fire ground. So we've used it for that. So that's kind of where this whole thing started. That's my business. How I've used, you want me to go right into AI then, Zeb? So yeah. How I've used the AI is initially, I started with, okay, I make in the program so the program works and they're able to interact with each other, the computer and the incident commander. So, but I wanted to make sure that I'm getting people to go look at this and make sure it's valuable to them. So there is a big correlation between the battlefield, military battlefields, and the fire service. A lot of the same personality traits and things occur during that process, and I want to educate and not just be some place where they can go and practice, because the practice is based on when we do it with just role players, it's based on the abilities of the role player. Where now we've been able to get the experts in the field, and I've got experts from all over the field. There's probably on my team, we've got over 500 years of firefighting experience of commanding fires in this thing. We came up with a game plan for each fire that we've created, and we've created about 1,000 fires that have different randomized events that occur during that fire. So there's enough simulations that you can do simulations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 40 years and never repeat the same one. And that's because of this artificial intelligence machine learning. And so we started with that. So that correlation, I said, I went to ChatGPT, and that's where this originally started with, how do I get people to emulate the battlefield on the fire ground? And I asked ChatGPT, give me the traits of a successful command veteran leader that would, what are the personality traits that they would use? Well, it came back with 150, 180 different traits. So I took that and talked to ChatGPT, and I took each one of those and I said, for example, one of them is ethics. And I said, give me a response why ethics would be important. And like Cris and Zeb both said about the prompting, I described me, a 40-year veteran of the fire service with a master's degree and all of the qualifications that I have, and I'm trying to motivate up-and-coming fire officers. What does ethics have to do with motivating them on the fire ground? And ChatGPT spit out a 3 to 5 minute lecture on that process. Okay, great. Well, I did that with all of the stuff that I got, plus some other things that I thought of that I wanted to include in there. So that gave me the basis of putting out a tip for the week. And during that tip of the week, it's trying to drive traffic to my site to get them to sign up for my fire simulation program. So then I'm watching some stuff on YouTube and an ad comes up for a company called Synthesia. And Synthesia is a training module, and I opened it up and they said you could get a custom avatar. Well, I'm looking through their avatars and they don't have any firemen on there. So I went ahead and Zeb's going to show a video later, but I went ahead and said, well, how about we I asked them, do you have any firefighters? And they said, no, we don't. And I said, well, how about let me make my own custom? So I made my own custom. It cost about $1,000. But I now have an avatar of me that now does the lecture. So now I'm doing that education component. And it's not just vocal, it's not just verbal, it's not written. It is me actually delivering a lecture. But it's all under, with ChatGPT and Synthesia, this avatar. And people said, that's not you. And I said, no, that isn't me. That's an avatar, because it sounds just like me, because they had to do a voice thing. And they've got lots of voice programs out there. But the voice program that Synthesia uses, with the voice program that I first originally started with, I forget, I think it was called Play IT or something like that. It took 10 seconds of my speech and created a voice. Well, my wife says it sounds like you, but it doesn't mumble as much as you. So that's not going to, I can tell when it's not you. Well, Synthesia had me do 50 different voice clarifications at about 35 seconds a piece, and it graded each one. And if it didn't come out great, they made me do it again. So that took about a day to go through all of those processes to make sure that my voice sounded like my voice. So now the video shows that avatar of me with my voice giving a lecture that was been generated by ChatGPT. So for my simulations, because what you're going to see is a simulation of the education component, is what Zeb's going to show you later. But it's going to, I took the ChatGPT and I put in the building and all of the components that we want to talk about for the building, and it created the script. And then I went in and edited the script to make sure that it all made sense to me. And then that was entered into Synthesia, which then created the video, which then is uploaded into my website. So now it's part of, you go through the simulation, you do the actual performance phase, then you go through an education phase, and then with the machine learning, it actually grades you based on what you said as the incident commander, and gives you a score based on the national standards, your local department standard, because they may be 2 different standards. And if you're really happy with that, we can send it off to a peer review. And that peer review, in order to send it to the peer review, it's a free thing. This part is a free thing, is you have to peer review 5 others. So you're getting tools from other people that have been through this process and saying, boy, that's a great thing. That sounded really good. I'm going to use that. Or, boy, that made me sound like an idiot. I'm never going to say that again. So that's kind of where I've gone. Any other things that I need to cover there?
No, that sounds great. Let me share that video. And so yeah, I'll do a little recap at the end of this. So give me 1 second while I load that.
Yeah, don't show the whole thing because it's like 8 minutes long.
I will. It'll just be a very brief second, but this will give you the idea. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but this is a video. So it's not Scott actually doing this. The way that his program works is he's like, and I call it like, you used to read those books where it's like choose your own adventure. And so different outcomes come. So Scott was saying at the presentation that what used to take him 6 hours to record one video, he's now recording about 60 to 80 videos because he ChatGPTs it. He has his avatar, and the avatar says exactly what he wants to say without the ums and ahs, and it sounds fluent and articulate. So I'm going to play that real quick.
Legacy in flames, commercial legacy challenges and techniques. In our ever-evolving world of firefighting, understanding the challenges and nuances of commercial legacy buildings remains paramount. Today, we'll delve deep into the mnemonics showing decisors and slicers.
All right, so just to give you the brief synopsis of that's not Scott. That's the AI version of Scott that is sharing those things, and that was one of the things that if you haven't seen that before, it's very interesting because you see Scott here, it looks just like him and sounds just like him and does it. Scott,
Minus the great beard.
That's right, minus the great beard. So Scott, let's give one piece of advice. You've been in the fire business. I think when you think of like people that are using artificial intelligence, it's usually younger folks that are using that kind of tools. Can you talk a little bit about just real briefly, what inspired you to do this and how has it helped you?
Well, the fire service has provided me with a very fruitful life. And it was time for me to give back. And one of the problems that we have in the fire service is when people walk out the door, they're gone, and all that knowledge that they had they're taking it with them. And so there's no recovery of that knowledge. And fires are not happening as often as they used to. And so that's a wealth of experience that's walking out the door. And there's no way to get it to the next level. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give back to the industry that's given to me. And quite frankly, I wouldn't mind making $1 or $2. Unfortunately, this has all been outgoing and not incoming so far, but we're going to get there. And that's why I did it, was to give back to the fire service community. And when I give back to the fire service community, that gives back to the people that I served and the people that serve across the country and make the fire service safer. I've got family in the fire service, and I want them to be safe and be able to provide the same service to them. And so they're part of the company also that help educate down the road to the next generation of firefighters, so that we don't lose all that experience that comes out.
Okay, well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. How are you using AI in your business? We really appreciate it. Thank you for participating in that AI summit or symposium that we did several months ago. So thank you very much. So the question from Scott's response is the last one is, how have you used artificial intelligence? This one I'd like to share. Now you've got some ideas from myself, from Chris, and from Scott about how they've used artificial intelligence. What are some ideas maybe that you could use to use artificial intelligence in your business or in your day-to-day life? Share those in the comments section. With that, we want to move on to we're calling this the leadership section. So we want to bring in community leaders. So one of our community leaders who has done a lot for our community, is very involved, is Steve Elie. So Steve is with the Inland Empire Utilities Agency. He's on their board of directors. He is also on the Chino Valley Chamber Foundation board. And he's also been involved in a lot of local issues and stuff all throughout the years, all throughout the time I've known him. So Scott, thank you for coming on. I'd love to kick this off and just give you a platform to talk about IEUA and maybe the things that are coming up with the Inland Empire Utilities Agency.
You did call me Scott, just so you know.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Thank you.
And I'm like, wait, Scott was just talking. Thanks, Seb. So we at IEUA are very proud of working with local chambers, especially the Chino Valley Chamber, because we have multiple facilities and many people working in the community and living in the community. And I'll briefly talk about 3 different things: the Chino Valley Leadership Collaborative and our involvement in that, workforce development, as well as some other partnerships. So we currently actually have 2 of our incredible team members participating in the Leadership Collaborative, and we're very excited about that. And we tried to pick people who wouldn't necessarily or normally get out the door and in the community so that they could really benefit from it. And I think they have both, actually, I don't think I know that they've both shared they're really thrilled to be part of this program and found it already informative and inspiring. And they're building connections across a variety of industries in our service area. They've also shared their appreciation for the service aspect of the program. Um, Apparently, they've already selected a community project. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder who's coming up, so I won't mention that. So we at IEUA also look forward to it. You know, we hosted last year um, uh, a good several hours at our facility, and I think people got a great idea of what we do, and we'll share about our role in the region and as well as a tour of our significant building project at Regional Plant 5, which is right next to the Chino Creek wetlands here in the city of Chino. So thank you for putting that together. On the workforce development side, you know, we're an employer. We have about 300 employees, and most are especially skilled in very different areas. We've done a number of Chino Valley Chamber job fairs over the last few years. This is very important to us to tap into local talent. We've also engaged in roundtable discussions focused on workforce development and included local agencies and private businesses. And then we've also partnered with the chamber as part of our outreach to help us reach professionals that are in our community and in ever expanding roles that we have. Um, Always happy to participate and share in the great programs, such as the Salute to Public Safety coming up in March. Get your seats now, and the Business Awards Recognition Dinner. Um, so our team members also participate in, I had not heard of this before, but the Chamber's Appetite for Advocacy meetings, um, and where we've learned about a variety of legislative issues that have impact on members. And personally, I am actually the chair of our legislative committee. And so I go to Sacramento and Washington often, 2, 3 times a year, to talk to our legislators as well as many other people. So, you know, the regulatory agencies, et cetera, that impact IEUA, you know, we're water, wastewater, renewable energy, but so many of the things that impact us and impact our rates are affecting obviously businesses and homeowners in the Chino Valley. So we're always happy to participate in that. The last thing I'll mention is Earth Day, where the chamber helps and shares in our Earth Day event. This year it's on Thursday, April 18th at the Chino Creek Wetlands and Educational Park. Encourage everybody to come out and see the great things that we have there. And, you know, that is a great resource that we offer to everybody. And if you haven't been there, you know, we will definitely offer group trips besides the leadership collaborative. Please feel free to communicate with me or my staff, and we'd love to have people out to see what we've got to offer. So I'm not sure if I really enjoy being part of the artificial intelligence group because I don't, you know, I hope to think I'm naturally intelligent, not artificially, but I do appreciate the opportunity to chat with you all.
Yeah, no, thank you, Steve. And yes, and one of the things I want to highlight is, you know, Steve has been a big advocate of getting IEUA and the Chamber connected, both in the workforce space, and he was also very instrumental in getting them involved in our leadership program. So I want to thank you for that. And then two, you know, you've agreed to serve as the incoming chair for our Chino Valley Chamber Foundation. We're just in year one. We're at the very beginning stages of our foundation. So I want to thank you for agreeing to participate in that. But can you just speak a little bit about the foundation and what you feel like, what you see the vision for it could be?
I think so. I'll draw a parallel to the Chino Hills Community Foundation. Um, I think the Chamber Foundation will be able to do things that the Chamber can't do, and in a different way, and spend some time, you know, helping to build up resources. You know, obviously the Chamber is focused on helping businesses cooperate and collaborate. Um, the foundation can do bigger projects and singular projects, and so my view would be that once we get going, we could um, do specific things that are bigger and that take more time to collectively put together to help both cities. I hope it's okay because
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you very
that's my
much.
vision.
Good. And just so you know, the Chino Valley Leadership Collaborative did choose a community good project you mentioned earlier. So I'll mention that. We'll probably mention it later. But they're going to be working with the Chino Community Theater to help them expand their reach and with some needed resources that they have. So that's the project that we've chosen. We're going to meet as the foundation board in the very near future. So I'm just sending out an email later this week to get the foundation board together so that they can help assist, but also approve that project to move forward. And thank you, Steve, for being a part of that. So thank you very much. So here's my question from Steve's interview. You know, Steve's a part of that leadership component of this Chino Valley Business Beat. We would love to know who you would love to hear that's in a leadership position in our community. Who would you like to hear from? Let us know in the chats if there's somebody that you would like us to bring in that is representative of our leadership here in Chino and Chino Hills or the region. So thank you very much, Steve. Next, we're going to go to, this is a Chairman's Circle sponsor of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. They're also a big economic driver for the region. And this, another S name, so I'm going to get this one right this time, Steve. So another Steve. So Steve Lambert, you're representing Ontario Airport today. Would love to learn about something new that's going on in Ontario Airport.
Oh, thanks, Zeb, and thank you for having us here. There's a lot new going on at the airport. The airport's 100 years old, 7 years of local ownership, and it's just been a great story. We just released our 2023 statistics, and 6.4 million passengers traveled through Ontario International during the year. And to put that in perspective, when we returned to local control in 2016, we were at about 4 million passengers. So we're up over 50% despite a global pandemic that disrupted air travel everywhere. And in fact, by contrast, LAX still hasn't gotten back to pre-pandemic levels. We've been there for 2 years in a row, and it just keeps growing. New flights, new service. In June, Southwest will be introducing nonstop service to Nashville. So that'll put us over 24 direct destinations that you can get to. And then some of the new amenities and conveniences. If you haven't seen the new Brewery X in Terminal 2 and the Top Golf simulator that's there as well, I encourage you to do so. And you don't even have to be a traveler anymore with our ONT Plus program, where you can go online and almost instantaneously get a digital visitor's pass. You can go through the security lines and you can go to any of the restaurants or amenities. More importantly, you can drop off or pick up a family or friend right at the gate. I used it recently to pick up my 91-year-old mom who was flying in from Texas. She was surprised when I was there right at the gate, but it's a great program. We've added new parking. The shuttle buses between the terminals are all zero emission, and we're looking forward to a great year ahead. One more thing I'd throw in there is our new Global Entry Enrollment Center. So Global Entry is a great convenience if you're an international traveler. Basically, when you return to the US, you can expedite the processing with Global Entry. Up until now, you've had to drive to LAX to get your interview for that. Now you can do it directly at ONT. Go online, pre-enroll, get your approval, and then you can do your interview right there in our international arrival area.
That's great. Those are some great suggestions and advice for people. Let's talk about the horizon. What does the future look like for Ontario Airport?
It looks great, and in many ways, we're a reflection, Zeb, of the community we serve, right? I mean, we feel very blessed to be able to serve the Inland Empire, San Gabriel Valley, and beyond. This is the most robust population and economic center in Southern California. SCAG put out some numbers recently that Inland Empire will see 20 to 25% growth rate over the next 25 years, compared to LA County that's going to lose population. And so we're very fortunate to be in that realm. So it's working with our airline partners and being able to find new flights and new destinations that meet the needs of our region. So since the return to local control, we've added New York City, Honolulu, Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, and continuing to look for more of those destinations that people want. The one we get a lot of requests for, frankly, is Washington, D.C., Reagan National. We're working really hard on that one. It literally takes an act of Congress to get a flight into Reagan National because they're very restricted. So we've been working with our congressional delegation, the FAA, and others to try to move the needle on that. We would love to do that. And I think a few of our electeds would like it too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny you mentioned that because I'm actually flying to Washington, D.C. on Sunday. So I'm doing that. And well, I'm definitely flying out of Ontario Airport. But then, like you said, there is no direct flight. So we'll be making some layover stops. But Steve, I want to thank you so much. I will share that, I've started traveling a lot more in the work that we do because we're participating in the larger chamber industry. We always fly out of Ontario Airport. It's always an amazing, in comparison with some of the airports, the other airports you go to, it's always an amazing experience. You're really much just able to just hop on and fly somewhere, which is amazing. And the team over there that Ontario Airport has is a phenomenal team. We've got a chance to get to know them really well. And so thank you for that. And then one quick side note is Steve is a phenomenal runner. So he's picked up some good accolades on that front too. So Steve, I want to thank you for all that you do for Ontario Airport and for the region. So thank you.
Well, and thank you, Zeb. And speaking of running, on Sunday, February 4th, we'll be hosting the 5K at the runway, which is a really cool event. We expect about 1,000 people participating in that. And it's at a part of the airport you just don't get to see. It's at the National Guard hangar, which, by the way, is where Ford versus Ferrari was largely filmed. But you get to see that whole south end of the airport right adjacent to the runway. So all the details are online on our website. We'd love to see as many people there as possible. The community event part of that, if you choose not to run, is free. So, I mean, you can just show up. So we hope to see everyone there.
Great. And this is the first year that you guys are doing that, correct?
Second year. Yeah.
Second year. Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. So for the question for this section is Ontario Airport is a place we fly out of. What has your experience been at Ontario Airport? Would love to share how you've leveraged that. I saw in the chats that would pop up briefly that a lot of people were kind of saying that they love Ontario Airport and flying out of there. So would love to see you add that into the comments. Our next person, this is a board member. So board member, Dr. Reggie Thomas. He's been serving on the board for a couple of, I think this is his second year as a board member for the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. He is a very strong opponent of the chamber. So I want to bring on Dr. Reggie Thomas to talk about his role as a board member of the chamber. So Reggie, let's talk about why you got on the board and what your role is currently.
Thank you, Zeb. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. So yeah, you're right. I joined the board in 2022. When I joined the chamber, I had no intentions of doing that. I just wanted to get involved. And as I got to know you and I had a meeting, and you explained to me the role of the board and wanted to inquire about my interest. And so I looked into it and thought this would be a great way. What I really like about the board is it gives me an opportunity to contribute at a deeper level. I think There's all kinds of ways to engage with the board, with the chamber. But this gave me an opportunity to really, really get more deeply involved in the work of the chamber. But also, one of my desires in life is to encourage and support. So it gives me an opportunity to support you, Zeb, in your leadership, as well as the great staff that you have. But also, it gives me a chance to really support the businesses of our community. So I like contributing, I like supporting, and so this just gives me an opportunity to do that.
Excellent. Then you're also an author, and you came out with a book very recently. So let's just highlight that book. Tell me about your book and what the intention of writing the book was for.
Well, it's not an international bestseller, so the intention definitely was not money. But the reason I wrote the book is I started a company 4 years ago called Peak Potential, which is a business consulting firm. I work with leaders in executive coaching and professional development training and consulting. And I see the book as an extension of my work. And so it's a way where if companies don't want to hire a consultant, they can get my book and get some of the business and leadership advice they need just from the book. But the book is called People Pains, Fixing the Drama in Your Business. It's available on Amazon. And it's really about leadership and managing people. Going back to why I wrote the book, I'm familiar with the curriculum in business degrees and MBAs, and they do a really good job of helping candidates for those degrees to understand business products and processes and projects. But I've seen very little out there about helping leaders and managers to deal with people. So my book, it deals with a lot about how to manage different personalities, how to manage difficult people, how to manage drama, how to resolve conflict in your business, how to manage diversity, and how to set up a positive culture in your organization. It's very simple, easy to read, very practical, and it's a book of tips on how to manage people.
Excellent. And then Dr. Reggie, you're also, you're a business consultant, you're a leadership consultant. Give one piece of advice for businesses that you've kind of come across in the Chino Valley that you think would be helpful to the majority of our businesses. What's one piece of business or leadership advice that you would share with the group?
Well, that's a great question, Zeb, and I like to focus on the leaders of those businesses. That's probably who we're talking to today primarily. But leadership is really, really important. I think for years we took the role of leadership. In some ways, we took it for granted, but in other ways, I think we had misapplications of leadership. And I think it's important for people to understand what leaders, what their role is. And so I think there are three key functions for leaders today. I think number one, it's developing and casting vision. What vision does is it gives direction to the organization, but more importantly, a good vision inspires employees. People realize that when they come to work, they're not just coming to work for a paycheck or to make a living. They're coming to work because they are being directed by something bigger than they are. There's a mission that they're trying to accomplish. There's a vision that they can see and work towards. And as leaders, you want to keep your employees inspired, motivated, and a solid vision helps you to do that. The second thing is culture. Culture today is more important than ever. And when there's all kind of technical definitions about culture, but I use a very simple definition. Culture is simply the environment in which you work. And, growing up on a farm in Tennessee, I like to use the analogy that culture is like soil. If you have healthy soil, the plants in that soil are going to be much more healthy, much more fruitful, and much more productive. In soil that's not good, it's going to produce plants that are not as healthy. The same is true in companies. If people are working in a healthy environment, and by that I mean it's fun, they feel like they can engage with people, they feel cared for, they're going to be a lot more productive. And then the third piece is empathy. It's very important for leaders to demonstrate empathy. I'm a baby boomer, and so not only did I work for other boomers who manage in a different way, but I also manage that way. But boomers tend to not value empathy as much as the newer generations. You know, when I first came into the workforce, it was all about you go to work, you do your job. You didn't really necessarily value getting empathy from your boss. You just went to work, you did your job, you got paid for it. But today, the millennials, the millennial generation, they really want to be cared for in the organization. That's what inspires them. That's what motivates them. And so it's important to demonstrate empathy to your employees.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Reggie, thank you so much. By the way, I love that plaque on the back of your wall. It looks nice back there. So thank you very much. Thank you for serving on the board. Thank you for all you do to support our business community. And with that, I'll leave the question to the group is, what's one piece of business advice or leadership advice that you would share with other folks? Put that in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts on business advice or leadership. So our next person coming up here is from our ambassador committee. This is Raziel Arcega. Raziel finished last year's term. She was the chair of the ambassador committee. She served in that role for I think it was over a year, and did a phenomenal job. And she's been involved in the chamber for a long time. She's a social butterfly. She's also on the Rotary Club. So Raziel, thank you for coming on today. Let's talk about your role as ambassador chair. What encouraged you to be an ambassador chair, and why did you get involved in being an ambassador with the chamber?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Everyone here is so distinguished. So for me as an ambassador, I think because I love the community, I love Chino Valley, I wanted to be part of somebody's going to be actively involved to promote the chamber or promote the community, what everyone is doing well or what everybody is doing best, especially for the business community. I own my own business, so having a family of businesses, meaning a community of supported businesses in the area, it's really great. So going out there, listening to people, having feedback, getting the new businesses involved, it really just inspires me to do more for my business because I love serving the community. I love serving the community through my business. And I think the chamber is doing so well right now, having a lot of initiatives to create this, a bigger, better community for businesses, especially for our young people. And I do have teenagers in college, and I wanted them to be on a business path if they want to, if they choose to. And I think our chamber is doing well on that. And I just love being able to be a support for everyone.
Excellent. And I understand that you also use artificial intelligence in the work that you do. So can you talk a little bit about how you use artificial intelligence?
It's funny, I was thinking about this question when I was told to answer this. When I started my business, I don't think we had social media yet. That was in the early 2000s. And I remember doing a lot of flyers manually. Luckily I'm in tech. I learned computers early, but nowadays it's so easy. Everything now, either videos or images that you could find online, we can do through Canva and even Constant Contact, even Eventbrite. So I deal with a lot of events, and when I do flyers or posts out there, social media invitations, it's easier to do it with artificial intelligence because it gives you, I really don't want it to do it for me, but at the same time, it just gives you that nudge to maybe say it this way, maybe write the text this way, or give you a lot more ideas on how to word some stuff, because sometimes you get stuck. And also, it has a library of images, so it's easier for you to find those images if you kind of track specific themes or specific, how do you call this, target audience. So it just makes it easier for me. to do it that way and just find different themes or find different topics. One of the other things that I've done, especially with ChatGPT, playing around with it, doing a lot of inquiries on target audiences, chambers, where are they, what do they do, what are their audiences, just kind of doing a lot of research for my business, kind of doing marketing research. So it helps me a lot because it just gives you the answers in seconds. And it just blows my mind. Somehow I'm in the middle of, I don't want to use it because you might not use your brain anymore, but at the same time, it's here. There's a lot of different things that are coming out. I just came back from our promotional industry expo and they talk a lot about using AI in our industry. So I don't think it's going to be gone. It's going to be there. So we just have to find out what's the best way or how it can help our business grow. And what they say is the best thing is when you think about how it will save you time and save you resources.
Excellent. Well, Raziel, thank you so much for all that you do for the chamber. One of the things that I'll highlight, Raziel does all of our plaques. So the plaque that you saw on Reggie's wall, that was done from Raziel. She helps us out with a lot of our promotional products, shirts, other things along those lines for the signages that we use. So thank you, Raziel, for that, and also for your role as being an ambassador chair with the chamber. So my question for those of you that are watching today is an ambassador is somebody who is dedicated to like enhancing and growing our business community. So these are people that are networkers. They want to get involved. They want to play a role in the community. And so an ambassador, being a part of the ambassador team is a great way to do that. So if you know somebody, they don't have to be a member. They could just be somebody you know that is interested in expanding their network and connecting with businesses. Put their name in the chat and tell them that they should consider joining our ambassador team. We meet once a month, every Tuesday. That's the second Tuesday of every month. So throw that in the comments if you think of somebody that could be a good fit for our ambassador program. Our next person that we're going to bring on is Julia Cabrera. Julia is a staff member of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. She is also the head of she runs our Chino Valley Leadership Collaborative programming. So she's responsible for putting that piece together. She's also responsible for doing our roundtables, and she's also responsible for doing our legislative action committee. So Julia, let's start with the Leadership Collaborative. Just give a very brief update about what the Leadership Collaborative is and what you've done recently.
Yeah, I first want to say thank you to Steve, Elie, and for anyone else who's been such a great supporter of the program. So the leadership program itself is a 10-month long program where we gather around 25 individuals from different industries, ideally. So this year we've been able to attract folks representing industries from police, fire, like workforce, nonprofit, government. So it is a nice mixed bag of people. And the idea is that every month we go and tour different locations based on specific industries. So we're only on month 3 going into month 4 for this year's program. And so we've been able to tour so far the city of Chino, get to know how they work in their government. And then this past month, they got the chance to tour the California Institution for Men and then the California Institution for Women. They've gotten to see Boys Republic. And then on top of that, they're completing the Community Goods Project. So it's a pretty packed program in itself. And so I think one thing I'm really looking forward to for this year is I think we just have a lot of good energy in the group this year, which I'm really appreciative of. And I mean, not only that, you and I, Zeb, are looking for new ways to improve the program and make sure that, when people join the program, they're not just in it for 10 months. They're, continuing to collaborate with each other in the future. Yesterday, you and I were, we ran into a member of last year's cohort who said that the program itself has like benefited her beyond those 10 months. Like she's still in connection with a lot of those people that she met. So yeah, and it's a really great program, I think. My role is to make sure that when, people come into the program, whether you're a member of the cohort, or you're touring, or you're an organization that, we're going to be supporting as part of our community goods project, is that we make sure that we have wins all around and people feel like not only are they contributing, but they are also receiving something very meaningful to them. It's a lot of intentional networking, which is really, really great and really unique about this program. We've added different things for this year, and we're, as a chamber, I feel like in the past year, we've been able to do a lot of great things. And so one thing that I'm looking forward to for this program is being able to implement something with a more regional aspect, because we're not just that, we don't just serve the Chino Valley. We have a lot of business members from around the region too. So yeah, it's a great program, and I'm excited for this year.
Good, yes. And this last one, we did go visit CIM and CIW, and that's always one that our participants say is very eye-opening. We also do mention that community good project where we're supporting the Chino Community Theater. So we're doing a project for them. That's the one that they've chosen. So we're working on fleshing out what exactly that looks like. The other thing that you're responsible for, Julia, is our roundtables, bringing in, and basically we have cross industries or we have industry specific roundtables. We're bringing people together basically to try to help, kind of like what we're doing today on this call. You're having a bunch of people that are coming together, have the opportunity to engage with one another. But what we're trying to do is identify challenges and issues that those businesses are facing so that the chamber can take specific action to help support our businesses. So talk a little bit about the roundtables, maybe just highlight the last roundtable that we did and what the outcomes were.
Yeah. So the roundtables are, everything that you said, Zeb, in itself. It's just sometimes people will come to us with an issue that they're facing, or us as a chamber will identify a group of people that we want to interact with. So last year we hosted roundtables on industries, as well as doing some related to our DEI efforts, which is so we did some on manufacturing, logistics, the healthcare industry. We did a workforce-related roundtable. And then for our DEI efforts, we did roundtables for our Black-owned business owners, our women-owned business owners, which actually led to the women's conference that we hosted last year. And then now we're hosting this year again. So it's a great place where people come and share different ideas. This past month, we were able to host a roundtable with the businesses located in the Chino Hills marketplace. And they had been facing some issues related to homelessness, trash, the general logistics of the maintenance of that place, which not only they witnessed, but the residents witnessed as well. And so we were able to gather city staff from the city of Chino Hills to come and hear their complaints and kind of hear what they were experiencing. And then the city of Chino also showed up to the roundtable as well, because they collaborate a lot. And so they were able to share some insightful information on, working with a property manager and all that. And so from that, we were able to not only establish a, really good connection with the property manager, right, which they had not had previously before. And then the city staff from Chino Hills was able to give some great insight on processes and procedures that they should follow when they're experiencing a variety of the problems that they had mentioned. And so, after all of that, people were coming in with a little bit of angst, a little bit of anxiety around these issues. When you're a small business owner, you're responsible for a lot of things, and it can be very overwhelming. But the roundtables provide solution, but also a sense of community for other people. And then us as a chamber, we get to hear from the community leaders themselves in a really intimate space, which is really nice for us as well, because then we figure out how we can take action. So from that, they had mentioned, we want to keep doing those roundtables again. And so we're going to be doing that. Right now, we're working on putting together a roundtable around retail theft, because that's been a big issue in the Chino Valley. So how are we going to help those businesses as well? And so we're working with Chino PD and Chino Hills, the police station there as well. The roundtables are just a great space for whether someone is facing an issue, or for us as a chamber where we want to go in and do our own research and identify or collaborate more closely with people in specific industries.
Excellent. Well, Julia, thank you so much. And like I mentioned, she's also responsible for the Chino Valley Legislative Action Committee. I'm going to highlight that a little bit later, but we did have a meeting on that yesterday where we voted to support Prop 1, So that's something that we'll be sending out to our membership very soon. So that was an outcome of our Legislative Action Committee meeting yesterday that Julia organized. Before Julia goes, I want to highlight a couple of things. Julia does serve on the Chino Youth Museum Board, so she's also involved in that capacity. And she was also recognized by the ACCE, which is the National Chamber Organization, as a 40 under 40 individual for the work that she's done with the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce by starting our leadership program, starting the roundtables, and facilitating all the support that she's given to the chamber. So Julia, congratulations, and thank you for all the good work you do.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great award. I really appreciate it. And I want to say too that like as a community manager, actually, a little bit unrelated. So last week, this week actually, is like a Community Manager Appreciation Week, I think. So I just want to say too, like, thank you to all of our members and, people who are in our community. I think the Chino Valley is a great space to, live, play, and work. And so I'm really grateful that we have a lot of people who are really invested in the community as well. I couldn't do my job as a community engagement person if people weren't willing to be engaged. So I just want to say that too.
Great. Thank you very much, Julia. So our question for this one is throw this down in the comments. If you were to be in a roundtable and you were to invite people to sit around a roundtable with you, who would you want to invite? We want to develop, we're trying to do at least one a month of these roundtables. So we need your guidance in terms of helping us coordinate, bring those roundtables together. So leave a comment in the section about a roundtable that you'd be interested in starting. Okay, next we have Christian. So Christian is a participant in our Chino Valley Leadership Collaborative. So Christian is a program manager at Hawkeye. Hi, Christian. I want to just chat with you. How has the Leadership Collaborative been for you?
It has been really fun. It's really, I'm the first one to volunteer for everything. I really, you really get out of it what you put into it, So it's been just an amazing journey. I can't believe it's only been month 3 or going to month 3, and we've toured over 6 agencies and make connections, and I can't wait for what's in the future.
Yeah, no, awesome. And I think one of the things that came out of the Leadership Collaborative is like, you're a good shot, so you went to Chino PD, he raised his hand to volunteer for they do a simulation. Can you talk a little bit about like that experience of
Yeah, definitely. That is so by far one of my favorite places that we toured was Chino PD. It's amazing to see what really goes on behind, when you do make that call, who answers it, how they track it. It's really fun to see the training that goes into it. And like Seb said, I had an opportunity to do the simulator, and they gave me the gun. It weighs the same as a real gun, and they did the whole simulation. So they call you out on this call, and it was a burglary call. So you're walking in, and you have to announce yourself like the police, and then you see the guy popping out, and he had one hand up, and then I was telling him like, show me your hand, and I've taken drama in high school, so I felt like I was like put the test right there, and then he put out his other hand, and then I instantly, I think they said I shot him in under like 1.8 seconds, and I got like a headshot, which I'm not, I'm not saying that's good, but on a video game, that's pretty good, and I was impressed with myself, but it turns out after they reviewed it, it turns out that he was holding a stapler. Oh my gosh. So I shot this guy. I know it was just so fun. It was really, really fun that I didn't know I was that talented. I normally don't go shooting like that. So that's something that now I've gone with my nephew, and he didn't believe me, and he put a couple of cokes out there, and I was able to practice. But it's really been really fun.
No, that's cool. That's great to hear that you had a good experience doing that. And like you mentioned, I know you've raised your hand for some other things. So you got a chance to be inside of a jail cell at the
yes.
And I know you're involved in the workforce. So let's just talk a little bit about the work that you do in the workforce space. Can you just give a brief overview about your organization and how you do the workforce?
So, my name is Chris. I go by Chris. Christian is when I'm in trouble, so I go by Chris. We are one of San Bernardino County's youth agencies that work with the county, labels them at-risk youth, but we like to call them opportunity youth. So the reason why I joined was because, we all have certain areas that we service youth, and Chino Hills is one of my main areas. This year I'm contracted to serve 67 young adults, and when we got that region, I was able to see the reaction of other youth providers, like, whoa, you got Chino Hills, like, good luck trying to find opportunity youth out there. Like, it's really nice, it's really fancy, but that's the reason why I joined, because we are a workforce agency, and it's key for us to understand this program has to make sense for us, for the participant, and for our businesses. So it really gave me a tool to understand what are the real needs in Chino, what businesses are looking for. I'm here to show businesses that youth are not a liability. They're really an asset, and how much work we put into it. It has given me a tool to really meet the needs of the businesses. And the tours that we've done, we've done Voice Republican. That's a foster agency. They deal with foster youth. They deal with justice involved youth. We've done the police tour, and they have youth officers there. They have youth programs. We've done the tour for institutions for men and women. They also have youth that, have made wrong decisions and ended up incarcerated. So there is a need, and it was eye-opening to see, like, and it's fun to go to the county and say, you guys thought, like, look at these relationships that I'm doing. Look at how many youth I've reached out, That's primarily the reason why I joined. I wanted to really figure out what the need was for the businesses, where these opportunity youth were at. I know there's youth everywhere, and how I can be that glue that encourages businesses to hire interns and hire opportunity youth and give these youth an opportunity, while still meeting the needs of the businesses, So that's primarily one of the main reasons why I joined.
All right. Well, Cris, thank you very much for joining us today, sharing that insight. Here's a question for those. And by the way, these questions are going to be listed in the first comment of once the video is posted. So you'll see these questions when the video comes out. So you don't have to necessarily watch the whole video to respond. You can see those questions there. But the question is, Cris experienced something very cool when he went to Chino PD. They got a chance to test out this simulator where it simulated a real world crime incident and that you were responding to. I'd be curious to know if you all know of any kind of like cool experiences that we could take the Leadership Collaborative to in Chino and Chino Hills. Is there something really cool that you think that we should take our Leadership Collaborative to check out in Chino or Chino Hills? So that's a question to leave in the comments. Next up, we have Stephanie. Stephanie is from F45. So Stephanie, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a member of the chamber. I know that you guys I know that we helped when the business first started, and then now you guys are rocking and rolling. So let's talk a little bit about F45. What is it that you guys do at F45?
Oh, thank you, Zeb, for having me. Everybody's amazing here, so I'm super honored to be part of this. We're a gym. The F stands for functional, and the 45 stands for 45 minutes. So it's functional training in 45 minutes, all over body workout without having to go to a big box gym, is what we call, 24-hour and places like that. We design the workout all for you. So there's no wondering what to do when you walk in. A lot of people don't know. I don't know either. I go to the weight rack and I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. So it helps bridge that gap for people that don't know what they're doing and gives them an all over body workout without thinking about it. So that's what we do. And yes, we're a year and a half old. And the best thing I did, I think, is join the chamber because we had a lot of problems, as you know, building we had to build the gym out. So, but just the chamber was very helpful with pushing to get permits and things like that. It was a really painful process, and zoning clearances. It's where they go and they count spaces of parking to make sure that you've got enough parking spaces for all the businesses in the area. And I mean, that took like 3 months. And I think it would have taken longer if I didn't reach out to the chamber and the people in it who knew people at the city planning. And so as soon as I went to Zeb and went to an event, spoke with very important people who had the connections with the planning committee. It was a matter of 2 days and we finally got approval. So I don't know if you know this, but we're having to move. So we're in the process again. So, but because you, Zeb, invited me to a roundtable with the mayor and the planning committee, and told them what they could do better for the community and make it a painless process to open up a business in Chino Hills or Chino. I think this time around has been very helpful. And I think we're speeding things along, not only speeding things along, but the payments that are due for permits and things. They're very kind to me now. And I'm cutting all my fees in half because they know I've been through it. And if I have a problem, I'm probably just going to go to somebody that's important and tell them to be an advocate for me. So it's been very, very helpful being a part of the chamber. And it's one of those things that's not what you know, it's who you know. Building businesses isn't something that I is my expertise. I mean, building like the construction of it and permits and things. So it's really who you know and who can advocate on your behalf. And you all have been amazing.
Awesome. No, that's great to hear. And yeah, I didn't realize how successful that had been for you. So that's great for us to hear. And I what I hear on the peripheral is that you always say great things about the chamber. So thank you for saying those wonderful things. And I'm glad that you joined and I'm glad that you're appreciative. And if you need any help with the move, we're more than happy to do that. It is the new year. We're all, many of us, have health as something we would want to improve for the new year. Give folks one tip that they can take away on how to be better when it comes to their health in 2024.
I would say just move your body, really, honestly. Move it, walking, if that's all you can do. Just give yourself goals of, starting off with maybe 20 minutes of a walk. Obviously, eating better. Try not to eat so much fast food. Cook your meals because you know what's in them. Take vitamins, just try to the 80-20 rule, it's, eat 80% of the time, eat healthy, 20% of the time kind of indulge.
Excellent. Well, Stephanie, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I want to talk a little bit about like how that formulated, and then that'll lead to my question about this. So we did do a roundtable with the city of Chino Hills. We did have the mayor there. We did have the planning commission, and one of the main outcomes we wanted was we brought in business owners that lived in Chino Hills. They articulated some of the challenges prior to that meeting that they were facing, and one of those was that permitting process and see if they can make it easier. So it is great to hear that they sped that up, that you got the answers and solutions that you needed quickly. And that's one of the things that in running a chamber, oftentimes I see how other businesses have benefited from their relationship in the chamber. And sometimes I feel like they not feel like, but they will articulate that they don't recognize those things that have come through. But vice versa, there's a lot of things that we do that we don't know that we do, like you just shared with us today. So that leads to my question is if so this is the kudos section. We have a section that we do in this section. It's called kudos. So thanking another member or thanking the chamber or thanking some other organizations that's participated. So in this case, it was you thanking the chamber. If you have a kudos that you would like to give, whether it be to the chamber, another member, somebody else you've worked with that you've come across in the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, throw that in the comments. We'd love to hear the kudos that you have for other people that you've connected with through the chamber and through our community. So Gigi, she has been a chamber member for a long time. She and I feel like, she was definitely involved in the chamber before I was, but I think we came together at the chamber around the same time as members. And Gigi was working for ServPro of Chino Chino Hills at the time, which is still a member. And she's also a past board chair. She is finishing out her 6th year as a board member for the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. So she's been heavily involved. She's been run through the gamut, was an ambassador, was responsible for planning a bunch of our events, and has just been a huge supporter and advocate of the chamber over the years. So let me say, Gigi, thank you for that. But number two, we've got an event coming up, which is tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow
Yes,
night.
it is.
I want to give you the chance to highlight your Chino Commercial Bank Mixer, which is happening tomorrow night from 5 to 7.
Yes, the Chino Commercial Bank Mixer is with the Chamber of Commerce, and we'll be having 7 food vendors who will be passing out tastes of their delicious food, and they will be set up around the lobby of the bank. We will have wine and beer and margaritas served across the teller station, which is always fun. And there will be business people walking around telling us about their business and networking and interacting with other people who also own businesses in the Chino Valley and promoting their business with each other. It's a great event. It's from 5:30 to 7:30. You don't have to stay for the whole time, but we are giving away a big screen TV, and I'll show it to you. Is that TV right there that we're giving away. So you must be present to win, and that will come at the end of the evening, tomorrow evening. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and I'll say that that's always one of our most, I mean, that is our most popular mixer when we had those. This is pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, it was the most popular mixer we'd have. And this is their first year that we're bringing it back. And they always have hundreds of folks attending. So it is a great opportunity to connect with local businesses for sure. So I strongly encourage you all to attend. Side note on that one, I did win that TV one year, many years ago. So I have one of those. It's still in my garage to this day. So thank you for awarding that, arranging that. And then the other thing I want to ask of you, since you're working with Chino Commercial Bank and you guys are a sponsor of the Chamber, Chino Valley Chamber as well. One of the questions we get most often from a small business is, how do I get access to funding, or how is there ways to do it? Can you give one tip businesses that need to do if they're coming to you as a business seeking funds?
The biggest thing I can tell you is don't lie on your tax returns, because a lot of people will come to me and say, oh, I make a lot of money. Well, that's great that you can state that you make a lot of money, but can you prove on paper that you're actually making a lot of money? Because if we cannot prove that you are on paper, then we can't make a loan for you, because then it looks like you really can't pay it back, and we're making a predatory loan, which is against the law, and we could be fined severely for that. So if you're making money, claim that you're making money, especially if you want a loan or a line of credit through any banking financial industry.
Excellent. Now that's great advice. And then the last question for you, Gigi. You are finishing up your 6 years on the board of directors. You've been a board chair. Give me a highlight. What's one thing that you will look back fondly of when you think of your time, either serving on the board or just your past time in the chamber?
There's no way I could pick one specific moment. It has been a roller coaster ride from the first moment I stepped into the chamber, which was 2000, I believe it was 2012, and that's how long I've been a member of the chamber. It's been a wonderful opportunity to serve in the Chino community. I've lived here for 45 years, same as my age. And it's just been a wonderful time, especially to serve with such wonderful people. Zeb, you make it a lot of fun every single meeting.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Gigi. And with that, I want to say thank you for all of your experience and support and guidance and serving as our board chair. You've done a phenomenal job, and I just thank you for everything that you do. So here's a question for our folks that are listening is we're looking to identify places to host mixers. It used to be a thing in chambers of commerce. We'd host mixers. We've kind of revamped our scheduling. So this Chino Valley Business Beat program is a new thing that we're infusing. We've cut back on our business at breakfast so that we can have time to do stuff like this. The other thing that we're doing is we're doing mixers. So we want to try to bring those back once a month. The key thing when you're hosting a mixer is you want to be able to provide food. You want to have a cool venue or a nice space to be able to do it. And then you want to have ideally some kind of entertainment, or like Gigi mentioned, they're serving wine, they're serving beer at the teller stations.
We're going to have a DJ as well.
They're going to have a DJ, they're going to have a big screen TV. So those are types of things. And when you do that, when you're like the host of the party, that's good for your business as well. And that's where you can really start to build and make connections. So we are looking for businesses open to hosting. So whether you're a business willing to host a business mixer, or whether you know of a business that could be a good candidate for hosting one of our mixers this year, please let us know so we can get them on the calendar and try to get that scheduled throughout the year. We want to do one of those a month. One of the things that Julia mentioned, and this is the legislative piece that we're talking about, is we are doing a roundtable, or we're looking to do a roundtable around retail theft and break-ins. One of the reasons why those things have seems more prominent, and it's because they are. We have legislation that has allowed it, made it easier for that type of thing to happen. So that's one of the things we want to bring a roundtable together to see how we can help solve those issues for our local businesses. I know in some of the local community groups, you'll see a posting every once in a while that there was a break-in at a local restaurant or a local business. And those are the things we want to try to work to make sure that those things happen less. So with that, we want to bring up the pub. This is the pub at Chino Hills. So this is Veronica. So Veronica, I would love to, first off, I want to highlight the pub. Years ago, they were a business of the year for the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, have been involved for a long time. They're a huge supporter. They offer their cuisine and food sometimes for many of our events. And so with that, I would love to say thank you for that, number one. But number two, let's talk about that issue that you've had. I understand that there's been some issues you've been facing on that front.
Well, it's been very hard because sometimes people, when we have been broken into, like there's glass, there's the panels that we put on, and everybody's like, what happened? Well, we got broken into. What did they take? Oh, they didn't take anything. Oh, then I'm so glad that everything, and I'm like, it's not just that, it's the fact that we're not in that time right now, but one of the first break-ins that will happen when I started at the pub, there was no glass. So we couldn't get our windows and our doors fixed. So little things like that affects more you as a staff member at the restaurant, you as a customer, because you're seeing these doors border. And it's a constant reminder that somebody violated your place of work, which sometimes is where you spend most of the time. At least for me, I spend more time at the restaurants than I do at my own house. My kids are at the restaurant and my husband's at the restaurant. We're there all the time. So it's hard. It's hard, to be honest, because it's not what they could have taken if they took anything. It's sometimes the right now I'm going issues with the insurance because there's no police reports. Because I think there was a cyber attack on the Chino PD. If I've at least that's what they told me. And so for a period of time, they don't have those reports. And even though I have submitted everything to our insurance, they're like, there's pictures, there's video. The only thing it's missing, it's the police report. And so it's hard. It's hard because it's not just the fact that they broke into, that they could have taken this or they took this. The something as simple as to fix the door.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, no, we totally understand that. And as being a business owner, you're dealing with a million things, and the last thing you want to have to do is be reactionary and try to work on something that has happened that's out of your control. And that's one of the things we're working on. There's legislation that's been passed recently that has allowed it, made it easier for those types of things and providing less penalties for people that incur those type of things. So what we're trying to do is I'm going to save that for a question later, is try to organize a roundtable around retail theft and break-ins, because it is a big issue for our businesses. Chino PD and Chino Hills PD have also made that a priority recently because of the issues that surrounded those. So we want to put that together. But before I leave you all with that question, one thing I have a question for you is we do the Taste of Chino Valley every year. And make sure that it's as valuable as we possibly can for restaurants to participate in it. So it's a no-brainer for them to sign up. We've done it for, I think, 25 plus years now. One of the challenges we've had recently coming out of COVID, and I know that this is an issue that you have and that other restaurants have, is the workforce having an issue being able to provide the workforce to participate in events like those, but also to run your restaurant. So I guess my question for you is if we're talking to other restaurants, including yourself, how can we make it a no-brainer for you to participate in our Taste of Chino Valley this year?
Well, I participate in the last two that you had, because that's around the time that I've been with the pub. So for me, it's just a matter of staff. It's getting a little bit better for staff to come by. But for me to be able to leave the restaurant and take somebody to participate, I don't think besides that, there's a lot of things that you can do. It's super easy. I mean, you provide some kind of food that you are very proud of. And at the pub, we have a great variety. I cannot bring everything, but I think our bruschetta has been a very huge success. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we really appreciate you participating in those and being a part of the business community. And we've seen it. That one of the things I try to tell our restaurants is that I've seen, you see the businesses that are doing well around town, and it's usually because they have a strong sense of community involvement. They get involved in those type of programs. And our goal is to help support restaurants to make sure that we're getting them exposed to audiences that they may not know that they're there. And that Taste of Chino Valley allows for that. And so we're really excited about putting that on again this year. So thank you very much for sharing those two things with us. As I mentioned previously, the pub was a previous Business of the Year award winner several years ago, and so they do good work, and they've been a community staple for a long time. So thank you, Veronica,
Thank you.
with us. And so actually, I'm going to finish off with two questions, and then we're going to call it a day. So the two questions are: one, if you know of any businesses that experience a break-in or retail theft, tag them in the comments below so we can include them in that roundtable when we're trying to identify solutions to help solve that issue. And then the second one is, we mentioned the Taste of the Chino Valley. We would love to know which restaurants you are interested in seeing participate in the Taste of the Chino Valley. So add those in the comments. I want to thank all of the folks that agreed to come on for this Chino second episode of the Chino Valley Business Beat. This is going to be up on YouTube very soon. Please feel free to share it and get the word out. We're going to do some marketing outreach to make sure that this hits a lot of folks in the business community as well. And we just want to thank you all for being involved and connected with the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much. Have a great week.